In this video, I'll be teaching you how to level your Roguery skill in Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord. I don't think it's any secret that Roguery has one of the more impactful perk trees of all of the skills in the game. From personal perks to captain perks to party leader perks, Roguery has them all. I won't gush and go on too long about the benefits of Roguery. There are a lot of really great videos out there doing that. One that comes to mind is Oklahoma's. I really recommend that one. It's pretty hilarious. Instead, we'll just get right into the meat and potatoes of the video. But before I do, I wanted to point out that this is not a character build that I would recommend for anyone. I was trying something here. I wanted to have a character that had like max all of the combat skills, and that way I could try everything out and decide what I liked best. Yeah, I highly recommend a build where you put 10 attribute points into intelligence and 10 into cunning and 10 into one or the other of either the melee or ranged combat schools, and actually focus on one weapon type. But you need to know which weapon type that is. So it's kind of necessary to make a character like this in order to figure out what that is. Anyway, I chose to make this video with this character because, as you can see, he has 10 attribute points in cunning and 5 focus points in roguery, but he has absolutely 0 roguery skill, and he has 490 one-handed skill, which isn't at all necessary, but it is handy. That isn't a cheat or a mod, by the way. If you want to know how to do that, you can look at my video of how to optimize your character, and that'll show you how. So prior to starting the video, I declared war on the Khuzaits. I declared war on the Khuzaits because they were at war with the Western Empire. And that's important to my strategy of how to level your roguery. So I attacked and took prisoner 11 Khuzait lords and 1 mercenary that isn't at war with the Western Empire. So you'll see at the Western Empire held fief of Tial, they don't have any prisoners in their prison. But you'll see that when I go to the tavern and sell that mercenary and one of the Khuzait lords, and then go to the prison, the Khuzait lord will show up as a prisoner in their prison because they are at war with the Khuzaits. But the mercenary doesn't, because they weren't at war with that mercenary clan. So now I'll travel to 5 other Western Empire held towns and sell 2 lords in each town. By doing this, we're positioning nobles in prisons so that we can go back and break them out of prison and not only increase our charm skill, but also our roguery. At this point, I want to give Flassan19 partial credit. It was from one of his videos that I learned that you could set yourself up to do these prison breaks, though the way he presented it, you were only able to do this when you were in the mercenary stage of the game. He didn't know that you could sell the prisoners at the taverns and set yourself up that way, at least as far as I can remember. When I went back to try and find the video to double check, I couldn't find it. At this point, I want to run a little experiment. I want to see how much roguery EXP you get in comparison from doing a prison break to taking over a gang alley. Because prison breaks are only half of the first part of our strategy of how to level your roguery. The second half of the strategy is to take over the gang alleys of a town one at a time. You take over one gang alley and then abandon it, and then go back into the town and take over the next. And there's up to 3 gang alleys for you to take over in each town, and you gain a significant amount of roguery EXP just by taking it over. So you see, I gained a whopping 63 roguery skill levels from that prison break. And now I'm going to load the game and see how much we would get for taking over a gang alley. So the first gang alley netted us 39 skill levels, but after taking all 3, we got 60 in total. Always remember to call the leader of your gang alley back into your warband after you're done taking them over in a town. And then with the prison break on top of that, we've managed to gain 82 roguery skill levels in just the one town. So this is the first part of my roguery leveling strategy. We'll just go back to the other 5 towns that we had previously imprisoned nobles at and break them out of prison and take over the gang alleys and abandon them. I ran into some trouble when I got back to Tial, and I found that there was only one gang alley there for me to take over. And I found that after taking the gang alley, I was only at 146 roguery level. And that wouldn't do because I need to have at least 150 roguery skill levels to get to the next phase. So we headed to Amatatis, where I took those gang alleys. So we're going to take the perks where bandits get 20% more XP, 20% less wages, an extra troop when forcing villages, consume 50% less food, they almost always surrender, and when they surrender they offer to join. And now that we have those perks, we can prepare for the next phase of our roguery leveling journey. When amassing my bandit army, I like to prioritize the forest bandits, and then the sea raiders, and then lastly the mountain bandits. But when push comes to shove, you just take what you can get. This time around, I got mostly mountain bandits. Amassing my bandit army took me about 40 minutes, which is pretty good. The first phase, where we did 6 prison breaks and took over 18 gang alleys, took about an hour and 10 minutes. And now that we've massed our bandit army, I'm going to use my companion's stewardship perks to level them up. I'm going to take a little opportunity to veer onto a controversial side note, which is don't waste your focus points on stewardship. There's only 2 party leader perks in stewardship, and they're completely unimpactful. And there's absolutely no captain or personal perks to be had in that tree. And your clan members benefit the most from having stewardship. There are some governor perks, and using stewardship to increase their warbands is probably the best use of the skill. And you can always have a clan member serve as your steward in your warband. So there's absolutely no need to level it for yourself. If you're being your own steward for the purpose of leveling your character, don't. Just use my method to level your character all the way to 62. If you don't know how to do that, I've got a video for you. So we've gained 19 levels by just leveling up our bandit troops. And now we're going to declare war on the Northern Empire and pick a fight. Or more aptly, we're going to rescue this rebel clan leader after it gets captured by this disbanded Northern Empire army. I wanted to show a little bit of the strategy I used in this battle. I ended up with about 100 Forest Bandit archers, another 100 Sea Raider shield wall specialists, and 200 mountain bandits. So at the start of my battle, I have my archers arrayed in a spread formation at the front of my army, so they can do their work while the enemy tries to enclose. And then behind them, I have my Sea Raiders in a shield wall formation, so that as the enemy encloses on us, my archers can retreat back through their lines and the Sea Raiders can absorb their range attacks and use their throwing axes. But as the enemy encloses on them, I put them in a square formation. And behind my Sea Raiders, I have my dismounted mountain bandit highwaymen, serving as skirmishers with their javelins, and ultimately they will be our shock troops when our Sea Raider square formation becomes enveloped by the enemy infantry. And you'll see that my Sea Raiders and Highwaymen do good work with their throwing weapons, and that's helped along a lot by captain perks. It's worth noting that this character only has 225 medicine skill. He has a clan member serving as his surgeon, and because of that he isn't going to get the amazing extra 80 health buff from the final perk in the medicine skill tree. That is a personal perk, and if your character doesn't have it, your warband won't benefit from it. Once the enemy becomes fully engaged from this position, it becomes prudent to give the archers the charge command so that they can leave the formation and find a target. Now, I purposefully tried not to get very many kills in this battle, because the more participation you get out of your bandit troops in the battle, the more Roguery EXP you'll personally gain. So you'll see in the chat box during the post-battle segment where you're conversing with the enemy nobles that we gained 27 roguery skill levels from that battle. Which is massive because as we were approaching 150 skill levels, we were only getting 5 skill levels per prison break and 1 to 2 skill levels per gang alley we took over. So I take the one of the family perk for the extra 10 weapon skill for my bandit troops and the bonus recruitment slot from gang leaders. I take the carver perk later for the extra personal damage and the captain perk. I take dirty fighting in order to make the kick less useless. I take slash and dash for extra damage and the captain perk. And ultimately rogue extraordinaire for the extra 130% loot. So from here you just keep playing your game and using your bandit troops to win your battles, and the roguery levels will come to you. So this has been my roguery leveling guide. I hope you won't sleep on it. It's a fantastic skill, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.